never know which way the rhetoric is gonna go. Classic Konversations with JT and Low. Classic Konversations with JT and Low. You never know which way the rhetoric is gonna go. Classic Konversations with JT and Low. You never know which way the rhetoric. Classic Konversations with JT and Low. You never know which way the rhetoric is gonna go. Classic Konversations with JT and Low. You never know which way the rhetoric is gonna go. Classic Konversations with JT and Low. You never know which way the rhetoric is gonna go. Classic Konversations with JT and Low. You never know which way the rhetoric is gonna go. Classic Konversations with JT and Low.
Hey, yo, what's going on, people? Y'all know what time it is, man. It is around 8:30, a little bit after, but it is around that time. So that means it is time for Classic Konversations with JT and Low.
And that's a cup.
Listen, I am James T. Thompson, a.k.a. your classic man, a.k.a. JT. To my immediate right, I have my man Angelo Sykes, a.k.a. Low, a.k.a. Mr. Sit Down at Uptown himself. And to the far right, we have MJ, a.k.a. Ask a Cop, a.k.a. I am on my way. But I'm here tonight, you dig? And we are Classic Konversations with JT and Low.
And that's a cup.
See? Right there, man. We right there. How you fellas doing, man? Everything good?
It's all good, man.
Hey,
you remember, man. Good job. Love when a plan come together, right?
Yeah. Want you to be a part of this conversation, man. 404-500-1605. Again, when you give us a telephone call, y'all don't be scared. I know I've been saying you can't be on the phone that long, and it seems like since I've been saying that, y'all stop calling. Give us a call, be a part of this conversation, because today we are talking about some things that has to do with our community for sure. We're going to highlight one of our biggest fans right here live tonight. It's going to be dope, very inspirational tonight. So we're going to get things rolling. Well, let's go ahead and introduce my man.
Great American.
What?
Well, to the far right, man, and I think we're gonna do him second part, right? Yeah. But to the far right, man, you got one Colonel Frank G. Davis, man, young man I've known since 1988. Believe it or not, man, he is an all right guy. Believe it or not, he is. You know what I mean? But that's great. You know what I mean? But that's a good dude, man. This is literally a brother from another mother, man. It's rare when you can strike up friendships that last over time. Through sometimes you be cool with people, but you just see them in passing, man. But this is somebody that is like a brother to me, man. And we always stay in contact on a regular. When did it military. ROTC, played football together at West Georgia. He actually did ROTC first and somehow encouraged me to do it. And actually...
We were getting a check, man.
Yeah, that was the encouragement. He was getting up, he was doing a year before me. He was getting up early in the morning going to PT, man. I was like, man, this dude crazy, man. You know what I mean? But... we've done it all, man. We used to work at the factories together. All our cars broke down at the same time. Lived in an apartment together. I mean, it's been a whirlwind, man. But we got a lot to talk about with this young man. Retired full bird colonel, which is not a easy task to do in this man's army. So this is that guy, man, Frank Davis, man, and welcome, brother.
Thank you.
They want to see the guy that always joining me on the other side.
Yeah.
That's a full-time job.
I had to get you in here live with this, man. We're gonna give you the mic on the second part of the show because we've heard the story before. We want to share it again to make sure people that missed it can get that, that motivation and that don't stop.
And I'm gonna do an initial shout out with him, bro, because if you think he bad, boy, you should listen to his daddy. Now, Frank G. Davis Sr. Good Lord, you talking about somebody that will join you nonstop. Yeah. I met him the first time, and we all had one name, Dummy. So this the new Dummy.
Yeah.
And that's forever your name.
Yeah, hopefully, if he's watching, he ain't gonna call in.
He is long-winded.
Yeah.
And we all dummies.
Oh yeah. There's gonna be a bunch of dummies now.
No
You know
doubt,
what, man?
No doubt.
All right, well, listen, man, let's get things going.
Let me do a real quick
wanna
introduction,
start off
JT.
with-
I got to do this shout out,
okay,
man,
go ahead.
because my mama put me on
Uh-oh,
task.
there it is.
Because she said all her ladies are listening, and these are all the ladies from the Senior Citizen Center in Lithia Springs, Georgia.
Okay.
This is a book that they did out of their center. And I wanted to make sure I shout them out. Miss Poe is behind this, putting this thing together. So shout out to all the ladies. And this is a book about National Women's History Month that was just ended in end of March. And the amazing part about it is one of the ladies from the center is actually in the book, Miss Irma Harris, who's done a lot of great things over the course of her life, community organizer, things of that nature, man. So I just wanted to shout out Miss Irma Harris and the ladies of the Lithia Springs Senior Citizen Center. And I've seen Miss Harris. She's been at several different functions, came to my mom's birthday party and everything, man. So we're going to continue to push this book. But good job, ladies. Love you all. Thank you all. Thank you for taking care of my mom out there. She has a ball. Now, that's it, JT. I'm good.
Appreciate y'all tuning in, Real. So let's
I can go to my mom's house again.
we can jump on some
I haven't told any stories yet.
some of the things that's been happening, within the community that we've jumped, all over and want to talk about. Let's start with Mr. Marvin Sapp.
Talk about it.
Ushers, close the doors. Now you see, wait, ushers, close the doors. We all gonna leave together. Y'all ain't going no place but to a restaurant. Those were his words. Those are the words that he said. And of course, we flipped it. Social media flipped it and said the man said lock the doors. And it's basically said y'all ain't going nowhere till I get this money. Now, he did ask for, some tithing.
Some.
He said he said he was gonna
No,
give
some would be
he said he was
$5,
gonna give
$10, $20. That was a little bit more.
He was gonna give $40,000 before they
All
left.
right, now that ain't some.
He asked for $20 from each person that was watching online. He also asked for $20 from everybody that was sitting in the congregation, and everybody in the pulpit. He told them to put their 20s away. They had to give 100 because it ain't free to sit where they were sitting.
That's what he said.
He said, if you're not giving cash, I want you to come on up. If
Didn't I say cash,
if you're paying
gas,
by
or-
electronically, he
yeah.
wanted you to come up and he wanted you to touch the bucket with your phone.
Yeah, I was concerned where that was going. You said cash. You're like, oh.
Yeah,
man.
he said if you're not, he wanted you to pass the basket around, but he said no, so many people pay electronically right now.
Yeah.
So instead, he wanted people to come up and at least, he wanted to see it basically.
Yeah.
See, I want to see it. Is that
He
what
wanted to see it. He
Yeah.
wanted to see it. He
Yeah.
wanted to see it.
Okay. But he didn't go full Eddie Long.
So some folks said
Hey,
it
Long
was
was chum, boy.
forceful tithing. Of course, like I said, some people took it and said that he said, lock the doors. You ain't leaving nowhere till I get this money. Of course, that's not what he said. I saw the video.
It's kidnapping.
Right. But from what I hear, and I've never been a member of these mega churches. I can't even say I've really been to one.
Church?
Mega church.
Oh. Okay. I was just making sure I couldn't hear,
Mega church.
my bad ear on this side.
I can't say that I even been to a mega church.
Okay, gotcha.
But from what I hear, this is kind of what's expected. So what's y'all opinion? Now, he has come out, he did an interview with Ricky Smiley. I wanted to look at it before I came over. I wasn't able
Ricky
to get on.
Smiley is one of his
But
parishioners.
he
so
supposedly
his
did an
bias.
interview with him to explain himself or whatever, but I didn't get to see it. So, what do y'all think about it? Is it forceful tithing? And if it is it okay? And if it ain't, what you think?
I think he should run for president. No, you can't do no worse. I mean, hey,
Oh, yeah, here we go.
what else? did he put a tariff on it? He asked for 20% and put a tariff on it.
Hilarious.
So, okay, yeah, but that's a different topic. Now, I there we go again. I didn't hear what you said, so I'm gonna be quiet, man. I'm gonna sit over here and chill out.
No, like I said, I've said a lot in the past about the mega church leaders. Creflo Dollar does do a lot for the community, but there's other ones that don't do so much. And the issue I have with it, they could be a voice for black communities, a voice for change, but they don't. They want to build up the coffers of the churches, stack up new buildings, fly on private jets, and imagine with the same fear that he can ask for 40,000 cash if he just asks, hey, look, let's talk about the community and have a platform for that to say that rap is destroying our community. Well, part of it, not just all rap, because there's some good ones. Like, what's that guy's name? D40? That new rapper D40, the guy that's clean.
It don't even sound right.
I think it's D40, whatever his name is, but he doesn't. Yeah, that guy. There you go. You know what the hell I meant, shit.
I don't think he heard what I said.
Yeah.
Talking about D1.
D1, that's it. D1.
Yeah,
D1.
that's like WD-40.
It's like WD-40.
Well, D40, well, dude, I'll talk about D40 shit. Anyway. But anyway, I just think that what they do, it's all about money with those churches. He proved it with that comment. It's all about money. It's shocked me with some insightful things on what the community tell us to change. The only way we're going to change is the people as a moral fiber in our communities. If the church leaders get into it and stop worrying about are they going to keep their tithes and just speak on what's in the Bible. Instead of polishing it up and feeding it to the people how you think it's going to keep them in the chair.
I mean, quite honestly, I just thought it was nonsense, but it's just what happens in our churches. You know what I mean? It's nothing new. It's been done over and over again. I don't know about the close the doors part. I thought that was, kind of unique.
It was a technique, but it was effective.
It was obviously effective.
It was doing some Teddy Pendergrass on it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So, but the
Or did he?
the overall thing is nothing new. I've seen this. You've seen the whole thing 1,000 times. Different people. I've been in the churches where they've done that. We need this.
Shake the bag
and
of the
this
box,
is never
bring
the
it back
first
around.
offer. This is always the second or third one. You know what I mean? This is always the extra. This is sometimes how the one who's the guest speaker's money that day. I mean, it's just an unfortunate thing because it just continues to put this black eye on the church. You know what I mean? It continues to make you question certain things. Because what I heard most of this out the different conversations with people is it went straight to the jets and the mansions and the this and the that. You know what I mean? It takes you other places, and I just think it just takes away from what the church is supposed to be for. So it's disappointing. I ain't gonna lie, it's disappointing. I can't ain't front, but no more disappointing than people still send money to the guy about the water. This magical water that he sells at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh yeah, 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Spring
But
water.
I think the
spring water.
Spring water. Spring water. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
From a certain mountain.
Yeah.
Comes from a certain mountain. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
But why are commercials like that still running on television?
Because they're working. That's why. The only way you can still be selling spring water on TV is because people are still buying spring water. That's the only way.
So
People are still buying it.
yeah, I mean, obviously, all you gotta do is take a look at this country, and you can tell that half of us are, asleep at the wheel, and the other half are driving the car. When you look at things like that, where guys, that's a hustle that's occurring right in broad daylight or at nighttime, rather. I think it's probably more appropriate when people are up and you got their phone in their hand and falling asleep and texting $20 or whatever it is to buy spring water from this guy, which is an obvious scam. But it's disheartening when you see, because I get upset. I was sitting around and you watching mindless television that time of night anyway, and then you see that type of commercial running, and then it's like, wow, man, people are actually sending this guy money.
Right.
So I'm going to send you $20, and in turn, I'm going to be blessed with $5,000.
Right, and a little bit of water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the lady in the
And-
commercial said it.
Yeah,
All
so
bills
did.
are paid.
Yep.
I heard it.
Bills
Oh.
are paid.
Everything. She was debt free.
So
dead
She was debt free.
And they only got a car.
yeah.
Shoot, I saw the commercial.
She said it exactly. She said, hey, I told him I was walking and I went outside and I had a car. I just bought this spring water for
spring water.
$20 and poured it on the ground, and sure enough, a car showed up.
Hey, just like that, man.
Hey man,
But we believe that stuff.
We should buy some spring water and let's see what happens.
Clearly.
Did I not go through with it
You did
earlier?
not say turn off the one in the. I did the one on the side. I didn't do the one on the goes to like the Instagram.
That's another nickname. AKA, I did turn it down.
That's my guy right there, boy. Ain't nothing like MJ.
Okay, next other thing we're gonna jump on real quick.
No, well, yeah. Hold it down.
just put the phone down. Just put it down.
I wanted the people to watch the show.
It's just
Okay. I'm ready. Sorry, man.
No problem, man.
I've been gone 3 weeks. Shit.
oh gosh. Senator Cory Booker, man.
Oh, boy.
Listen, I was a little busy today, so I wasn't, looking at the news and everything, but I found out that he had been speaking to the Senate for 12 hours strong, and that was at 7 a.m. this morning.
Filibuster.
And from what I heard, did he just finish speaking, or is he?
Yeah, he finished around 8, right around 8 after 25 hours. Just
He did 25?
Did 25 hours,
25
and it was a speech and not a filibuster because it was not preventing there was no bill that was up for
bill?
yeah.
Okay.
So
Right.
so that was the just from listening to it, that was the distinction that they kept making about what was happening.
Wow.
Wow.
I saw a couple of clips when I was on my way over here, but I do want to see some of the other stuff. I know he jumped in on 45, 47. He jumped in on him pretty hard, in regards to his first 71 days of presidency and what he's done and, where America is and relations and all of that type of stuff. So I want to see 25 hours. That's a long time, bro.
Yeah.
25 hours and 5 minutes.
Without going to the restroom, you can't leave the floor.
Can't leave.
There's no way I could do that.
No way.
No way. Yeah,
Wow.
24 hours. Yeah,
So-
he couldn't. He had to stand the entire time.
Yeah, had to stand. Yeah.
That's crazy, right there. He quoted a lot of John Lewis while he was doing it. I caught quite a bit of it. So he gave a lot of deference to John Lewis and all the things that he accomplished, and fighting the good fight, and made a plea to America. And he wasn't just speaking to the Democrats. He was speaking to both sides of the aisle and asking for unity and hopeful that we can get this thing turned around, man. Because as he stated, a lot of people are suffering. Regardless of what you think about everything that has transpired, it's a lot of people out there suffering, and a lot of it's self-inflicted because if they voted for him or chose not to vote, this is what happens. I distinctly recall sitting, down in Florida, listening to you gentlemen talk about, hey, get involved, be a part of the process, get in touch, know who your local leaders are, and I would question, what has been done since that point. Have people taken to heart the things that you guys were saying and learn who the local leaders are in your community. As a result, I absolutely looked up, everybody that had something to do with St. Johns County, Florida, where I live. I've been sending them emails and You know, I haven't gotten blocked yet. I tweet at them a lot, so you know, you got to be careful because I don't want to get sent tweeting. Next thing you know, my check stopped coming in. I'm retired, man. So hey, what you want me to do? But because they're just that vindictive, and then you got to figure out how to get things restored. So, but the whole point of that was that you got to be involved, and like you guys talked about, think like Lo would say, think nationally, vote locally, things like that. All that stuff is important, and we got to do a much better job. And you got to take these representatives to task. You see a lot of people that are upset that are showing up at these town halls. I think that's been a constant theme here over the past few weeks, as more and more people have been losing their jobs. But they're involved now because it's affecting them. It's easy to get involved when it's impacting you, but when it's impacting somebody else and you really don't give it, you know what?
Right.
As long as they ain't bothering me, I'm not gonna do anything.
That's right.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see some more clips. I know I ain't looking at no old 25 hours, but I do want to look at some of the clips and see some of the things that they've said and see what happens from there. All right, let's move on to subject matter of the show tonight. It's in regards to the struggle. Why has the struggle become a style? Why has poverty been glamorized in pop culture? From music to fashion, there's a growing trend of people aspiring to mimic the look of hardship, while real folks that's actually living in it are fighting to survive. What does this say about us as a culture, and how do we shift the narrative?
I'll get first go at that. It goes back to, I'm not even going to say the infected. It goes back to we let other people dictate what comes into our community. And if you look at the change in rap from Public Enemy, rappers that had a stake in trying to uplift the community, to when all the gangster rap came in. And, basically it was, BIM to put it in there in the change. So that part of it, we fed into it, and then it became a glamour thing. That's when they started sagging. Well, before everybody knows, sagging was something they did in jail, and it was somebody in jail that was selling ass. That's who did it, and that caught on. They started doing it, became a fashion, and it just started going downhill from there because we started mimicking anything that they put out, anything a rapper put out, which was pushed by whatever label they were with. That's where kids tried to emulate it. That's where I think it started. It still goes on until today.
My take on it is that it's something that people that have, the haves actually do to be accepted by the have-nots. Example, Nunu from the movie ATL. Saw where she lived, big house, this, that, and the third, but she actually wanted to portray like she was in the projects because she wanted to be accepted by people in the projects. Because I remember, when we were kids, if there were certain people that were doing better, I ain't gonna say they was rich, but they were doing better, and they didn't know what a food, this was back when food stamps was paper, and they didn't know what a food stamp was. And we actually would tease them to where they felt bad about not knowing what a food stamp was. How crazy is that? We're teasing them about not knowing what a food stamp is when actually they don't know because they're actually doing okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of it comes from, trying to be accepted. It's like, MJ was saying in regards to music, some of these kids actually don't come from these so-called stories, these harsh beginnings. Some of them actually come from, a pretty good upbringing, but they portray it so that they can be accepted by the ones that are in the struggle. That's why I think it has become more of a trend, more of a thing to be or thing to look like. But I have some more, points on in regards to how we, as a culture, even within our struggle, we still shine. slippery slope. You don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. You know, are you telling people that it's okay to struggle because you can shine while you're struggling? Or should you try and what do they call it? Fake it till you make it. Should you do that, or should you show your happiness in your struggle? You know, it can be, somebody can take it two different ways. So, you know, it's kind of rough within our own culture in regards to that, in regards to how we're teaching our younger people. We had it on the show one time. We was talking about, do you want your child, what was it about the mud, coming out the mud?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Get it out the mud.
did we want our child to have to, you know, struggle and work hard to be more appreciative of whatever the fruits of their labor? Or do you want to make sure that your child has everything that they need and still make sure that, you know, they understand, you know, and have pride in things that they're doing? You know, it's kind of a slippery slope there, whichever way people can look at it. You know, their perception of it can go either way.
What you got, Frank?
Yeah. I think Jay made some great points. I think that the fact that, you know, when we have children, you know, we want to make sure that they are well adjusted and able to succeed no matter what situations they're placed in, you know, in society. You know, it's tough. You know, you're trying to determine, you know, hey, how much should I give? You know, I have 3 girls. So, you know, what do I do for them? And, you know, I've struggled with that and trying to understand, you know, that, hey, you know, you gotta prepare them for what's actually out there for them, you know, because I tell them, you know, I would rather be hard on you in here than, you know, somebody being hard on you out there. So, you know, they don't always like that, but, you know, where else they gonna go? They got no choice, you know. And I say that jokingly, but, you know, you do that because you want your kids to be well adjusted, because like we said, man, life is hard. We have all gone through, you know, various levels, and we all have a different experience on what life has presented in front of us. And you know, we have all been able to come across and, you know, come up out of that and be you know, to the point where we're able to succeed no matter what happens with us.
Yeah, I think this thing goes twofold, right? I mean, you were kind of hitting on both sides of the coin. Because on one half, and shout out to comedian Gigi LaFleur, who the post that we shared was one of the comedians who just came uptown a couple weeks ago, man. She was a female doing the talking. And when I saw her, I'm like, that's Gigi. But the point she was making is how we make things look good. You know, we make the struggle look good. And I think that's who we are. You know what I mean? We've done that as a culture as long as we know of. You know what I mean? We take whatever it is and we make the best of it. Now, and I say as a culture from, you know, our culture, United States, American, you know what I mean? We don't know what it was truly like in Egypt and
Right.
kings with queens, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we know from what we've had to adapt to and the mindsets that we've, you know, learned, our culture had to adapt. We had to adapt from slavery. You had to adapt from Jim Crow. You had to adapt from all these things that have always hit us, but yet we still establish styles.
Yep.
We still establish music.
We still shine.
We still shine. You know what I mean? So it's like and the point she made was we just make it look good. We make it look cool. We make it look like it's okay, like we are good, like we're okay with it. No, we're not okay with struggling. Why would, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you can't go out there and show it either. You know what I mean? You know, even when we were, I mean, just think about, I can say from my household, growing up, you know, a lot of times we knew we didn't have a whole lot in the kitchen, in the pantry, in the refrigerator. You know what I mean? But you would never know it.
Right.
And we were still shining. We were still
That's
cool.
up.
We still could make it. You know what I mean? You would never know. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. So I just think
That's what you was telling them. You was sneaking in there, getting all the groceries. So
wasn't a whole lot of groceries to get, buddy.
Yeah.
That's what happened to Ray.
But we make the best mayonnaise sandwiches in town.
Hey, boy.
And I got
Watch out now.
I got somewhat of a different take on that also because, I grew up, mom's a teacher, dad was a military officer, and my family's all teachers, military, cops, firemen. And I think what I see happening is now, I'm not talking about the past when we were coming up, but I think what happens now is like middle class black guilt. It's almost like you can't really tout what you are or what you represent in our community because if like a kid like my kid, he might have had 3 or 4 different shoes, but they wouldn't wear them because they wanted to fit in with a certain group of people.
Just what I said. Want to be accepted.
Yeah, they want to be accepted, and I think it's moral, so it goes over to adults also. Because I'm just here to say it. There's a lot more black conservatism than people want to really speak on, but you can't speak like I get attacked on the show anytime. I didn't say I'm a Republican. I'm just conservative. And you get attacked from being anything other than a norm. And if they gave you the norm, you really are celebrating something that you're not even really. Because I agree with what you said, the struggle part of it. But then it got to the point where that got muted into something that wasn't even desirable. The sagging, the twerking, little girls twerking, and all the negativity that came with it, and it's only there because of social media. I think social media now has a foot on black culture's neck, and nobody's trying to remove the foot because it's going to stay low. When you have a sexy red, come on now, that would be something that would have been rebuked and everything else, or or preachers letting rappers into the pool pit. If you weren't clean, you couldn't even come into the pool pit. And I don't mean clean as far as clothes, but clean your spirit and who you represent. And now if you can put the donation there, they accept you. Not to say that in the LGBT community, that's totally outside of the Bible. They made amendments for everybody. Now, everybody can be who they are, but if you stop teaching part of the Bible because you don't want to offend, well, okay, you let the dope dealing, rapping, slinging people that talk about guns in the church. Now, where's the line between good and evil? And I think in our community, that line got blurred through social media.
I mean, you're right. I think it's a matter of how you're looking at this particular topic. You know what I mean? In terms of glorifying the hardship. If you're saying you're glorifying it by showing how hood you can be, how gangster you can be, that's a whole other ball game.
Oh yeah, that's what's hurting us now.
I was talking more so and glorified in terms of, again, we establish
styles,
everything,
music,
and it all comes from that same hood. It all comes from that same.
Even if you wore the same pair of sneakers all week, you cleaned them every night so they look like they was new the next day.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying? You still walk with your head held
well, that's
high.
just black pride. That's something we've always had. Black pride.
That's what we talking
That's
about.
black pride. But what I'm saying is, it's morphed into something that's not pretty anymore. Before it was like, everybody fresh cut. When you went out, you put the cleanest thing on you could, and now jokers look like they're hanging on the corner when they go to clubs. It's like black excellence.
But is that glorifying? Is that the same thing though? You know what I mean? That, to me, that's a whole other realm.
But I mean, I think it all
terms
ties
of-
in together because nothing good comes from shit. You can dip it in gold, you can dip it in platinum. At the end of the day, you scratch under the surface, it's still shit.
It makes grass.
Yeah, but don't much grow over there. Not too much more grow over the grass.
Yeah,
Like
you make grass, you smoke grass.
Yeah, but my point is, if they're having this idea that the black man is violent, the black man is boom, boom, boom. When we used to hang out, nobody was killing each other, nobody was slinging dope, and damn sure you didn't glorify anybody that did it. And now I think that has become the young black culture.
Wait. You know what? We're going to come back. We're going to talk about that in regards to back then to now, what the differences are. And then we're going to, like I said, we're going to get into the story of the Colonel over here and, let him motivate some people out there and keep them going. Classic Conversations with JT and Lo.
And that's Scott.
We'll be right back.
watched a lot of people. Like Faith Evans is like a sister to me.
Wow.
You know, when she first started coming out to California, she'd come out there and hang out with me and my family. You know, and then she got to deal with Puffy and all of that stuff.
Really?
And we still, to this day, I can FaceTime her right now. She be like, what's up, Kurt?
Wow.
You know, I got some real good fans.
Were you out with her when her and Pop took that picture?
Yep, I was right there. I was standing right there on my dead mama. I literally was standing right there, gritting my teeth like this. Because Pac thought we was trying to have a relationship. Now, let me tell you something silly about Pac. And I love Pac, but Pac used to follow me around. Like, I'd date a girl, and he see me dating a girl, and the girl look immaculate to him. Like, nigga, why you following me? Well, nigga, that's the good way to get your ass whooped, little nigga. I was hot. I remember Regina called me one time.
Ready to find a studio that matches your podcast vision? Located inside Uptown Comedy Corner, our studio just 5 minutes from Atlanta's airport has everything you need. From high-quality equipment to multi-camera setups for live streaming, we've got it all. With 15 plus years of experience, our team ensures smooth sessions with editing and post-production services at an additional cost. Plus, our competitive pricing make it easy for creators of all levels. Contact us at 404-500-1605.
We back, y'all. We are back. We're back. No, we'll do it after. We back. Classic Conversations with JT and Lo.
And that's a cop.
So listen, what we're speaking about, man, is why has the struggle become a style? We've talked about being accepted. We've talked about us as a people just always shining within the struggle, within the when we down low, we still gonna make ourselves look good and smile and hold our head up. But right before we went to break, MJ, you said something about people wasn't being killed and people wasn't the dope dealers wasn't selling dope and all that type of stuff like that when we were younger.
They weren't glorified. I should say it's always been there, but it wasn't glorified the way it is now. Like, if somebody did that, it's not like they were ostracized, but they weren't promoted either. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? I wonder if social media was out back then, if these folks, because I know of some dope boys was kind of glorified back then, a little bit more.
Dope boys were glorified back then. Pimps were glorified back then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The food, the number runners. Were, you know what I mean? It's always been the
Not in
person.
mainstream culture, though, was it?
I'm just saying because
Oh yeah, it was.
It was not in mainstream.
the social media has played a major role. We can't deny.
Yeah, that's what I'm
social
saying.
media
It's
has played
changed.
a major role.
It
Yes,
wasn't
yeah.
out there like.
It's everywhere.
Okay, it's just like strip hoes. you used to be able to date a strip. It was like a thing to brag on. Hey man, I was with a stripper or whatever. And now it's commonplace. Everybody's a stripper. So I mean, before it was like you had a girl from Magic City. I got this girl from Magic City. Now everybody's it's just out there like that. It's like when Nelly said, "It ain't tricking if you got it." And now that's part of it. Social media has pretty much changed a whole culture.
I don't know where the hell we at right now.
I just like to add, I had nothing to do with that part of this conversation. I was just sitting here.
I was so like stripper hole.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, but I mean that's like you acting like our culture's always been raunchy and ratchet. It hasn't. That was never part of it. We're artistic, we're intelligent, we dress well. Think about it. We used to go to a club, everybody looked good. That was all the way into probably mid-90s.
I don't think social
And when
media
things when
had
they
nothing to
started
do with
wearing
that.
T-shirts and shit like that.
We had social media back then. It's hard to say because again, like I said, we didn't have social media back then. But usually within your own neighborhood, you knew what was talked about. Even then, when people supposedly were dressing with clothes on, there was still somebody that was skanky. Even back then,
But there was a
somebody that had their shoulders out. Somebody, what?
They were saying, man, come on now. Y'all trying to clean this shit up like
I ain't
it
cleaning
was
nothing up.
acceptable back then.
I didn't say it
for
was
people to act-
acceptable. What I'm
Okay,
telling you
but that's
is
what I'm saying.
somebody was skanky back then, just like they're skanky now.
Not to this degree. Come on, man. Black
Everything
women
changes,
carry
man.
themselves like gods and goddesses compared to how it is now. The shit that they show now, that would be, like a home run. You never see sundresses were like the sexiest thing that black women used to wear. A sundress, you could wait, you might follow behind and catch in a light where a leg spread, you could just, can kind of, But now it's like they dropping it like it's hot. They got babies twerking, they got girls twerking, and then nobody's saying it's a bad thing when it is.
Except Megan Thee Stallion.
Making a stat. That's artistic dance. You got to do things messed up. That's totally different.
So in regards to the struggle becoming the style, do you think there's anything that we can do as a culture to change the narrative?
Hell yeah. That same mega preacher who's got them 40 parishioners can just start preaching about that. Or if you have a black politician, come out and say something about it. Or because it's almost like it's the pink elephant in the room, but nobody says anything about it.
I don't know if you talk about
The over-sexualization of our youth.
the struggle becoming a style.
That's what I'm talking about. That's part of a struggle. The struggle becomes a style when you glorify the style by making it pretty or sexy. Okay, big asses. Everybody likes a big ass.
I'm
Now,
lost.
what does it cause our youth to do? Buy fake ones, damaging their bodies. Okay, weed. I never smoke. Not against anybody that does. But if you smoke, it's cool. But now it's to the point where that's all they do is smoke. Well, if you got a job and smoke, it's okay. But if you just smoking all day, every day.
So listen, I agree with you in terms of that side of the coin, in terms of glorifying the heart. So that's why I said I think it's two sides of a coin on this conversation. If we're talking about it's too much glorifying of all the negative behaviors of the culture, then yes, it's 100%. We make it seem cool to go to jail. They show all these jail videos and people on the phones and dance and all that stuff.
But don't try to stop it.
They don't show the ones that's getting kicked to sleep. They don't show the ones, that's getting jumped. They don't show the ones that's getting raped. They don't show none of that stuff. They're gonna show you all the stuff that makes it seem like it's cool. So I agree on terms of that note. I just think I think it's two sides of that coin, because we as a culture still have we bring so much to everything. I would say in terms of the music, the clothing.
Definitely.
We make hardships look good by the swag and all the things that come along with being who we are. That's why everybody copies everything that we do in terms of a race. Everybody is copied.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you often hear from some of our elders, and people you have conversations with, is you've been talking about people losing their jobs and with the government and all the things that are happening in society today. And they say, well, as a race, as a culture, we have been okay. We make it no matter what circumstances you put up on us. We're gonna make it through, and we're gonna make it shine no matter what is required of us to make that happen. So I think if you look at it from that perspective, that no matter what happens to us, it might not be beneficial. It might it might suck here for a while, but at the end of the day, we're going to come out on top because it's how we have been.
It's how we do.
This is how we've been bred, essentially.
Absolutely.
All right, let's touch them comments, and then we're gonna get on to our.
Real quick, man. Ty Vick said early on in the first part, that's why some people don't want to go to black churches these days. I don't know if I'm saying this right. Thedros Poinsett say, I'm here to see one of the best commanders I've ever worked with or for. That's a big shout out. He also said it was D1. He was correcting that, D40, whatever you said earlier.
D1, yeah.
Mega churches aren't worth a name. One is about money. Supreme Up, what's going on? Ty Vick wanted to know what he can buy with a payoff with a liter of water instead of a little thing, get him a whole liter. Shoot, Ty Vick, you might, boy, you're going to be living in luxury, boy.
Right.
You get a whole liter, boy. Watch
Go
out
get
now.
a leader, homie. Go on, get it, bro.
Marvin Sapp was on the Ricky Smiley show, said that video was old.
Right,
He was at a conference. That's interesting. That's the internet for you. Respect to Cory Booker, #1 fan. Let's see, our food, our clothes, day to day, we're always gonna be fly. Facts. Kiki said, I don't want to look like what I've been going through, so you make the best of the situation. That's what we do. Ty Vick said, I believe it's the system now. The culture has been hijacked, and they are making money from us as well as leading to our demise.
Amen.
But it's normalized now.
Who was that? Say his name out again.
Ty Vick.
There you go.
Ask a Cop clearly was referring to his days at Freaknik. Says live stream funerals. I don't know who that is, but they said #1 said she was going to agree with you, Ask a Cop, until you brought up until you smiled too hard on Meg Thee Stallion. So she bring back Scared Straight. What's the difference between her and the other women flaunting everything? I worked in nightclubs. What I see where I work now, you would think that they at the nightclubs. I'm at the store today. Oh, yeah. That's how they dress. All right, that was the comments. But listen, we're going to jump right in, man, to our guest for the night, man, retired Fulbright Colonel Frank Davis. Like I said in the beginning of the show, man, watching this young man, ascend to the levels that he did, coming from a school like West Georgia, man. I don't think that's the school people think you go to to get to that level. So the things he did broke a lot of barriers. And I was speaking to our boy Frankie. Frankie's going through some health issues. God bless you, Frankie. And I was telling Frankie, I said the same thing to you, is a lot of people don't get to enjoy their flowers while they're here. You get to hear all the great things about a person when they're in a box, Then everybody talks so great about them. And I was telling Frankie this the other day when he was going through his health issue in terms of, because Frankie's, pretty stubborn dude, and, enjoy with people. And so I say the same thing to you. And we got people like these Rose, and I've seen all different shout outs, people from that you've commanded over the years. I hope you take the time to really, look back and see these things. But let's talk about your journey, Frank. Kind of guide us through your life as an officer in the Army and the level that you ascended to, man, and what you had to endure through that stuff.
Okay. Yeah. First of all, I'd like to say thank you, to the entire Classic Konversation team, man. You guys first class as always. Production staff, man, you guys always do a great job. I enjoy interacting with you guys every week, so thank you for that. So with that being said, I'll talk a little bit. As most people are, you're uncomfortable talking by yourself, but I'll just share a little bit about myself and my journey. As Angelo stated, we've been friends and brothers since 1988 when he showed up at West Georgia, and they give us all freshmen, and I think since he and I were the same height, just about, we kind of were drawn to one another, and kind of been that way ever since. So you take that, and you take into account that we both came from military families, and we had the Germany experience, and it was just so many things that that allowed us to come together. And this guy's my brother for life, man. I love him dearly, and anytime I'm in trouble, I tell my wife I'm with Angelo. So that seems to get me out of trouble. So
she's not looking.
Yeah, she ain't listening. Like, she's like, she doing homework or something. She's like, I ain't worried about him. But as far as my military journey, like Angelo said, that started back in 88, 89. We're down in West Georgia playing football, and the thing that young people don't really realize is when you sign your name on a dotted line, or you show up at a university and you out there playing ball, everybody was the man from wherever they came from. So it don't matter if you were the man at your school. So at Hepzibah High School in Augusta, I might have been pretty good. I got to West Georgia, I was just another guy. I was just going through the motion a lot of times. And I remember we were practicing on a Saturday one day, and Adrian Holgerbrook, man, one of our defensive back, one of the guys we used to look up to in the defensive backfield, and he came up and he hit Larry Adams, who was a fullback, man. Larry Adams was one of the biggest guys on the team, and Holgerbrook hit him so hard that I signed up for ROTC after that. I was like, I don't know if this is what I signed up for. So at that point, I decided that, hey, it might be in my best interest to start looking for a job, because the NFL is not going to come calling. So I had to figure out something to do. So at that point, I went and signed up for ROTC, and, having been a military kid all my life, I said, man, how hard can this be? And I went and signed up for it, and it was tough initially, but it wasn't necessarily hard. If that makes sense. It was tough because it was something different, but it wasn't hard because my dad was a staff sergeant, and retired as a sergeant first class, and I used to get some butt whoopings, man, and I think that would be classified as child abuse. So if he's listening right now, so what happened to me as a kid, man, that I get it, man. My dad, I was blessed. My dad was in the home, and my dad, man, loved me so much, man, that he made sure that I wasn't doing stupid stuff, and that I was gonna go to college, and whatever it cost, whatever it took for him to get me to college. And that's what happened. I got to West Georgia, got down there, and then figured out, as I said, after figured out I wasn't going to the NFL, figured out, I need to get in ROTC, I need to find a job. Did that, ultimately ended up getting an active duty commission, got commissioned in field artillery. Didn't really want to do that. Don't know why I got field artillery. I don't even know if it was on my sheet, but somehow they put me in combat arms and field artillery, and, off I went. But, hey, God looks after you in many mysterious ways. So, the blessing to you is when you get somewhere, you already know somebody. So, sure enough, I roll up day one out at Fort Sill, and, and they're calling out our formation, and I'm running into guys that, hey, man, I know this guy right here, man. we were together. We played basketball together in Berlin, Germany in 1983, 84, man. And we were all military kids, so we made that same journey. And we were, seeking, comfort in that along those same paths. And, so it made it easier for me to adjust, being an African-American young officer, it was all, whether people want to say it or not, the deck is automatically stacked against you when you show up to a place like that. And I showed up, figured out, what I needed to do, did it, got through the course, went on, and, I had the opportunity to go and do, many things over the course of my career. So I did the field artillery thing when I first got in, and then I switched over to ammunition. So I did ammunition, then I did ordnance maintenance, and none of that to me was fulfilling. So, in order for me to stay in the military, I had to figure out something that was going to keep me around. So I saw this job called EOD, Explosive Ordnance Disposal. And, I said, well, EOD, what's that? They said, no, man, don't worry about that. Black people don't do that. I was like, what do you mean? It was like, it's hard, it's really hard, So at that point, it really piqued my interest, because now here I am looking at this and saying, okay, well, now I got somebody else that I can prove wrong, that I can get through this course. So, I signed up to do EOD, which was, like I said, Explosive Ordnance Disposal, which is, in layman's terms, bomb squad. So I went to the EOD course. I ended up being my course honor graduate. Went on, command the company. Don't know if I was really invested fully at that point still. I went ahead and, some life things happened. You got married, got divorced, came up for promotion. I remember 9/11 happened. The day 9/11 happened, they had just released a list for promotion to major, and my name wasn't on the list. And I was like, oh my God, man, they must have had the wrong list. So, that to me was like that waking up point for me in my career, in my life, because at that point, I realized how serious things were out there.
I'm gonna get old, man.
Yeah. Hey, it's hard, man. And I had just gotten married, just gotten divorced. I had a kid. Had to figure out, what I wanted to do and what was I supposed to get out of this thing called life. And I met up with a mentor, Colonel Kenneth Crow. He was an infantry officer. He was my commander. I was stationed down in Puerto Rico. And he looked at my file, and he couldn't understand why I didn't get picked up for command either. But then he just started doing some deep diving, and he looked at my file and he said, well, he saw, he just found anything. He said, so why are you taking all these correspondence courses? Being an EOD company commander, EOD is a type of organization that you're spread out. So I was not near my boss. So in your free time, I would take correspondence courses to show that, hey, yeah, I'm invested in this. I'm trying to do a good job, trying to educate myself, and come up. He looked at my file and he said, well, yeah, this looks like somebody is telling you to do correspondence courses because you're not meeting the standards. He said, so don't put that down on your support forms anymore as you're writing to help get your evaluations. I was like, wow. I was like,
crazy.
man, I didn't know that was being held against me for trying to learn.
Wow.
So that's a true story. That happened.
That's crazy, bro.
Yeah, so that happened. So I stopped doing that, and I took this guy on as a mentor. And he, more importantly, took me on because, you need two in that relationship. Right. But he took the time in my career to say, hey, man, You have to understand the boards and the board process. And, when you look back at your evaluation, there's nothing bad in here, but there's nothing that differentiates you and makes you stand out when you go before the board. So there's nothing that says, hey, this guy's a great guy, a better officer. So he took a look at that. And so for the first time in my career, I was 10 years in the Army already. Somebody actually sat down with me and explained the Army Officer Board process to me, and took an interest enough in me to say, hey, let me show you how to do this. And from that point on, I never got an evaluation that wasn't a top block. So from year 10 to year 30, I never had an evaluation that was not a top block evaluation.
Wow.
And that was all as a result of that conversation and sitting down with somebody who actually cared enough to look at my file and tell me what I was doing wrong, and, he accentuated things I was doing right. So fast forward, we got through all of that, and I had the opportunity to deploy multiple times. So I deployed Iraq, Afghanistan, Kuwait, any country that ends in a stand, I've been there. And, I was blessed to have worked for and with some of the best soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, because with EOD, it's a all services, all ranks type of career field. So, I've commanded and led all types of service members during my career. And, during that time, over the course of my career, I was able to amass 4 Bronze Stars. So to me, I got 4 Bronze Stars, but my unit did the majority of the work, So, it was my job to make sure that everybody had everything they needed and everybody got home safely. And, that wasn't always the case, because in combat, people get killed, people get injured, and I lost 3 people when I was a battalion commander in Afghanistan, 2012-13. I was the commander of Task Force Paladin South in Kandahar, Afghanistan, 2012. So when I got to Kandahar, initially I was supposed to have one region, so RC South, Regional Command South. I was going to have one area, and guys and gals that worked for me, I already knew who they were because we did the train up together. I get there, and they off-ramp the unit out west and southwest, and then they gave that to me. So not only, I had the almost half of Afghanistan, and it was my responsibility to get out and visit service members and make sure everybody had what they needed, and more importantly, make sure that everybody went home when this was over with, And during that time, unfortunately, we lost 3 people. Roadside bombs, IEDs are, that's serious business, and it takes such strong character and compassion for your fellow man to be able to even walk down, the courage that it requires to walk down on a bomb, when you know that, one misstep and it ends your life essentially, and who knows how many others. So, I commend all the men and women in the service in general, but the guys and gals in the EOD career field, extremely proud of them. Also while in Kandahar, I got the opportunity to be the keynote speaker for Black History Month, which is, to me, to this day, one of the highlights of my career. I remember being asked to do that, and I thought, man, they ain't got anybody else? And they were like, no, you were a battalion commander. I was a battalion commander at the time. They said, yeah, we're going to reach out to you, and they did so, and I was able to take that task on, and I spoke to about 300-400 people in this field tent out there at the time, and I just always remember the words that were said to me afterwards, that that people appreciated my story, and I talk about, as you talk about your mom in the military and my dad, we talk about those stories. I shared about that. I shared about, my last name, Davis, and, going on that journey and learning about where my name came from. And then you start talking about, slave names, and you start getting into that stuff. And I was like, man, this is a little bit deeper than I really wanted to go. But, I found myself doing that research and talking to my dad and understanding that, hey, as, your great-grandmothers, people seem to think that's a long time ago. For us, that's not that long ago.
Right.
The 1800s, I mean, hell, we one or two relatives removed and we're there. And, we're talking and, I'm just learning that, for the first time, I think that I realized that my last name Davis came from Jefferson Davis and his brother, and the fact that they own the Davison Bend plantation outside of Vicksburg, Mississippi. So, my family came over from, learned that my family came over from Africa. My dad is a big historian, so I learned that piece, learned about that, learned, that my great-grandmother, my great-great-grandmother was in slavery, sold into slavery, was in Columbus, Georgia. And then they were later transferred out to Davis Bend Plantation outside of Vicksburg, Mississippi, which is where, I was born. And that's kind of where the modern day members of my family came from. So, learning that, so that was a big piece of my professional career as a whole, because I learned that, and I learned that about myself, and that was an unintended consequence. I was just doing a speech, and I learned that, man. I remember sitting in my room crying as I'm sitting there coming to terms, y'all might have always known that, but the fact that it was, now like front and center in my life. So I took that, and it continued to help motivate me. I continued to try to look after all my soldiers and do right by them, and educate them and make sure that I was taking care of them, make sure that they were not leaving Afghanistan with a bill. You had lieutenants that show up to places and they send them out to the field, out to a site, and they get there, and the next thing you know, they get stuck with a bill when it's time to leave, right, because nobody's inventorying equipment, and they just sitting there and they just checking the block. And then next thing you know, something's missing, and they're like, oh, well, it was here last time. And, that was happening far too many times. So I took it upon myself to make sure that didn't happen. So, I put together a program to educate those guys and gals. My command sergeant major and I, we all went. Somebody from my staff visited every location that we had service members in Afghanistan every month. So we weren't just sitting at a desk in Kandahar where people were out in the field doing work. I felt it was important to get out, visit them so they can see your leadership. So that was a big deal to me. So
upon retirement, where did you end up? You were a full-bird colonel. You were was the first black brigade. What was the actual?
Yeah, so the equivalent of a brigade in EOD is a group, EOD group. So I was the first black EOD group commander in any branch of the service. So EOD's been around since 1943, World War II, as a military occupational specialty. So, but I had the opportunity to do that, and I ended up as a full bird colonel, commanded the group out at Fort Carson, Colorado, deployed the group. Seemed like every time I show up somewhere, we're deployed. So I did that a lot during my career. And during the last deployment, 2016, 2017, wasn't feeling well, came home, ultimately found out I got diagnosed with cancer, got diagnosed with multiple myeloma, which is strange because it's a non-hereditary cancer, and my dad had just been diagnosed with it 2 years before I did. He was in Vietnam, so he was around Agent Orange, Yeah, so, it's probably attributed to his contact with Agent Orange, and I was around, any kind of chemicals and
drinking water on the bases.
Yeah, burning waste. the Poo Pond in Kandahar, which is a famous place. I think Swamp Thing was filmed there because you didn't want to fall in. Man, if I fell in the Poo Pond, man, you might as well just kill me, man. I wouldn't want to come out of that thing because what you're gonna have at that point is not worth it.
Yeah.
But so so I did all of that, came back, got diagnosed, took the cancer diagnosis, and then resulted in me ultimately retiring 2019 after leading the group. And since then I've been retired down in Florida, done volunteer mentoring, and spent a lot of time in VA hospitals, man. That's seems to be what happens to you. So
So what do you think about the how the veterans are treated in this current, not even this current regime, just in general, how you all are treated after serving that kind of time and that dedication to the Army, to the military in general?
Yeah. Well, that's a complicated question, obviously, but in general, I have gotten a lot of great care in a lot of areas, but then there's some areas that fall short. I know it's been in the news about counseling for like mental health and how that impacts especially people that are retired and those that have gone to combat. The availability of mental health counselors, because that's something that I've always been big on, and I've encouraged my people to seek counseling while they were still in. EOD had a very high suicide rate there for quite a few years, just by the stress and the sheer amount of deployments and just so many things back to back that were taxing them out. And I encouraged them to seek out mental health counseling because I did it. And now it's tough because there's not a lot of counselors available to you in the VA. You might wait months upon months for an appointment. I went June, July last year, and I don't have an appointment again until May. And that's because it's not because I don't have a good counselor. It's because the slots. There's so many people that need that service, and then you turn around and you start cutting people from those positions. That makes a big difference.
Yeah, not to glorify it, but just to put it out there so people can understand what those numbers were. Mm-hmm. How many soldiers did you lose to suicide? And in general, in the Army, how many people did you lose? Because I think that's that's one of the underreported things that happen with the Army. Mm-hmm. In both military period, Marine Corps also, you have a suicide and they don't even, put it out there. So can you speak on that more?
Yeah.
She retired.
Yeah. Now? So I, trying to make sure I don't keep running my mouth too much here. But yeah, so there's a movement essentially that at 11, I believe it's 11 suicides every 22 minutes that had been occurring. Once they start breaking down the data, and they were saying that that was an epidemic. That was a high point in the military, and that was a couple of years ago. And I was under the impression that things had been getting better. For me personally, I lost a soldier to suicide the second week I was in battalion command. So, I remember, the very first day, I was so proud. I was up at Joint Base Lewis McChord, Washington State. I took command, on a Thursday. On a Friday, I had my first DUI. And it's not common because you got guys that are EOD guys. It's not something that happens that often because you don't want to lose your security clearance because So we had security clearances, not like that matters nowadays, but back then, you had a security clearance, you mess around and get a DUI or something, you lose your security clearance, boom, you're gone. So I had a DUI the first day, suicide the very next week. My first suicide, young man who had just gotten back from deployment, saw no way out in, whatever was troubling him, decided to go out to, he knew where we were going to do what they call sergeant's time training. So we had sergeant's time training every Thursday, and he knew exactly where the unit was going to be Thursday morning. And then the unit was out doing training, and they found him dead out there on the tracks. So that was, that's hard in any time frame. But yeah, it was just hard to.
JT got
take
one quick
first off.
question
Yeah,
for you.
one question for you. You said that you was the keynote speaker for Black History Month. Was the soldiers in attendance, was it all black soldiers, or was there soldiers?
No. Yeah, it was a great mix. Soldiers, civilians, everybody was there. So it was, it was a big deal. You had support for programs like that. And I hate that things like that are going away because that's how you learned about the differences, and you were able to celebrate people that you sat in foxholes with, essentially. So the fact that things like Black History Month and things of that nature are not going to be celebrating the military, I think that's a shame that we're going down that path.
Well, listen, man. As Angelo said earlier, brother, flowers given, for real. Each time you come and give us your story, I'm learning even more every time. The Black History thing is that's pretty dope. I've told Angelo this. I'm gonna tell you this, man. You are Black history, for real, and it helps, that you're a UNC Tar Heel fan. That helps a whole hell of a lot.
Yeah. I wish I still had a jumper. I might go, but I'm done. You can't slide a sheet of paper under my feet. No, I got no vertical.
For real, man. The comments is we're gonna go over them, but the comments is going crazy, giving you your flowers also, bro. For real. Yeah.
Ty Vick said retired. He's a retired SFC. Salutes you. He said he served with some black officers in infantry regiments, airborne division, and it was never easy for a black man to be successful. We're not liked. Derwin Brown chimed in. Salute to my brother who commissioned me as an Army officer and serves as a major mentor to many. Kiki says salute to you, Frank. The VA will fall short from time to time, especially now the VA is getting cut, so veterans will lose services. But yeah, man, we appreciate you, brother. This is, like I said, man, this is dope to get you here on live, to really, let people know who you are, what you've done, what you've accomplished. It should never go unnoticed. Like you said, you are Black history, man, and we're extremely, extremely proud of you. Who knew, man, dude that I could whoop so bad in AC Doocy would become a full bird colonel, man. Yeah, I wasn't gonna let you win. I want to let's get in first.
Hey, for those of you that's new to this, let me tell you something. Whenever we say some comments or whatever that's kind of like, making fun of Angelo, this is the one that's doing it. This is the guy that's doing it. He's here live tonight, so for those of you that's right, he showed up.
He pulled up.
He pulled
right.
up, talk his junk, and he started. He walked in the door and he started.
That's right. Sure enough.
Nah, dope, man. This guy's a great family structure, man. I love his mom and dad to death, man. The whole family, real, shout out to Priscilla, man, and the girls, man. We're really, really proud of you, brother.
Yeah. I will tell you one thing, man. I'll tell you, being retired, I have learned that my entire family is insane. Being around them, I'm like, oh my God, man, no wonder. I was like, hey, can I deploy now? Send me somewhere. They are all crazy,
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to get into some other questions, but we'll do it another time, man. Especially with your family having to experience you being gone so much. I know that's a whole other chapter to the story. But yeah, we appreciate you, man, coming through. Too easy.
So yeah, we can. You went over the comments, right? So we can get ready to roll into the top
Lena
five.
just said hello, Frank. Proud. We skipped the top five because we already over our time for the night.
All right.
So
all right.
but it was well worth it. It was well worth it to
Yeah.
make sure that he
Yeah,
finished
yeah.
his
Man, you
conversation.
did a lot of Pomoffer, man, because that's one of the hardest schools. I'll tell you, that's one of the hardest schools. The one he went to in the military, and one of the longest and most difficult schools, the EOD school. So hats off just on that accomplishment.
And he did the War College. You know what I mean? That's no small feat either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. Shout out to Command Master Chief Sherman Byrd, who was the first black EOD technician. I know you see me typing it all the time when I have the opportunity, but I went through my almost my whole career and never knew about him until I was laid up in the hospital in Jacksonville. I was getting my second spinal fusion, and they were doing a recognition for his daughter on television. And from her appearing on television, I reached out to her, and we become great friends. I got to be part of the city proclamation for him back in 2022, and she has a book called Quiet Strong, and it's on Amazon. It talks about her dad being the first black EOD technician and diver, because you had to be a diver to be that in the Navy.
Yeah.
And he had a 8th grade Mississippi education, man. And that goes back to your point about, when no matter what circumstances that are placed in front of us, man, we're going to come out on top.
Absolutely.
And that's how we do.
That's what we do. That's what we do. Hey, one shout out, man, comedian Anthony Demmer. I'm repping his sweatshirt tonight. There you go, AD. Told y'all I'm gonna put it on for you, buddy. The weather finally permitted. Yeah.
MJ. Yes. I know you ain't usually here to give your closing remarks, so go and give something. Before we don't see you for a couple.
Just happy to be back, man. Just happy to be back. No remarks.
Project moving forward. Looking good.
Yeah, look damn good actually.
Matter of fact, something that we don't do enough. MJ, give your if you know it, give your your IG.
Ask a cop. Ask a cop at Ask a Cop.
Yeah. That's it.
At Ask a Cop
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, at Ask a Cop.
on IG.
On IG. Oh, there it is. IG Ask a Cop MJ. Yeah. Ask a Cop. IG at Ask a Cop MJ.
So listen, people.
Appreciate it, Dwayne.
Drop in there on when you got some questions in regards to law enforcement and things of that nature. We might even make you a feature. We might be able to explain some things to you if you got some questions. Drop in there and drop a question on it.
Yeah. Y'all might
Angelo.
ask a cop.
All right. You want to ask a cop? There it is.
Get the opportunity.
Angelo, give yours, bro, especially to sit down.
Mine is Lowdown 13. The sit down is sit down at Uptown. I always follow Uptown Comedy Corner ATL. This weekend we got Tony Tone, used to be the ringmaster for Universal Circus. He'll be headlining this weekend. Get better, Mom. Mom Dukes was not feeling well today. Hope you're feeling better soon. That's all I got,
Well,
brother.
Mom.
All right, follow me, man, at Classic J. I lost the underscore, so it's just Classic, KLASSICJAE. Follow me. Get up there. Talk to me about some shit. I don't care. I might lie to you with the answer, but I'm going to get it to you. I gave the date last week in regards to the Shell of a Man coming to Uptown. I gave the wrong date. The date is actually July 20th at 3 p.m. Tickets are available right now on Eventbrite. We'll talk about it some more. I'm actually going to try and get some of the cast members up here so that we could talk about the show that's coming up, 7 men with 7 different stories and how they affect their families. So I think that's good for us this week, right?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
So this time, you can actually say great show right now. Pastor Cop, you ain't got to say it in the text chat. That's going to do it, man. Classic Conversations with JT and Low.
And Ask a Cop.
And we out. You dig?